Day one of free agency is wrapping up, and the Dolphins haven't made any splash signings just yet, but we did make a couple moves today, so you love to see that. First one is Mike White, who is going to be the backup quarterback this season. It's a 2-year deal, up to $16 million. I saw a lot of people overreacting, thinking that we were going to be giving Mike White $8 million a season, but his base contract is only 2 years, worth $8 million, and the other $8 million he can get through incentives. Now, I wasn't really excited about this deal. I thought the Dolphins would go after a better backup quarterback option, which I thought was still on the market. Gardner Minshew, Taylor Heineke were still options, and they still are available. Even Baker Mayfield, he's probably going to be going to the Bucs to have an opportunity to be the starter there next season. And I know that Mike White is a fan favorite, so I'm excited to see him play in training camp, competing for that number 2 quarterback job with Skylar Thompson. He did add a spark to this Jets team when he was made the starter when Zach Wilson got benched, and he had a great game. He also had some not so great games where he threw like multiple interceptions, 0 touchdowns, and lost them the game. But, he's a Dolphin now, so we're going to focus on those good games. And I'm hoping that we don't see him on the field at all. Like, as much as I like him now that he's a Dolphin, I'm hoping that we see Tua on the field 100% of the time. But because of his health concerns, we're probably going to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. But like I said before, he will be competing with Skylar Thompson to be that official backup quarterback. So we'll see who wins that one. I wouldn't be surprised if Skylar Thompson won it, considering that Mike White was actually the 3rd string on the Jets roster as well, behind Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson. But we'll see how that goes. We do have our backup quarterback, though. It will be Mike White. Or Skylar Thompson, we don't really know yet, but we did sign a quarterback, so that's what's going on. Next one is one that I really like. David Long Jr., linebacker from the Tennessee Titans. It's a 2-year deal worth $11 million, which is pretty cheap considering some of the other linebacker deals that we've seen today so far. Tremaine Edmonds signed with the Bears for $72 million over the next 4 years, so we're getting David Long for $5 million a year round, so I think that's a pretty good deal. We did get him for kind of cheaper than some other linebackers because he's missed 12 games in the past 2 seasons due to a soft tissue injury. So I'm hoping that the Dolphins trainers can get that figured out. If he can play for a majority of the season, though, I'm not too sure what the linebacker room is going to be looking like. I don't think that the Dolphins are really going to be targeting another linebacker in free agency. I think that they're going to be focusing on that more in the draft, which is in the next month and a half. I think that Jerome Baker and David Long are going to be the new linebacker duo. I think that, Elandon Roberts is probably out the door as well. Wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back as maybe linebacker number 3, but I'll get to the next contract signing where they got Duke Riley in a minute. But I think that Elandon Roberts is probably out the door. But on the other hand, like I was saying before, Jerome Baker and David Long Jr. are one speedy linebacker duo. Vic Fangio is going to have his fun if those two are the guys that are going to start. We really don't know what is up Chris Greer's sleeve. For all we know, we could be getting Bobby Wagner tomorrow if Jalen Ramsey decides to call him up and says, come down to Miami. Speaking of Jalen Ramsey, actually, Jalen Ramsey and David Long Jr. both have the same agent, and they were both at dinner a couple nights ago at a steakhouse saying, wouldn't it be dope if we were to both just join the Dolphins, and 48 hours later, here they are, both in Dolphins uniforms. Well, not yet, but they're both on the Dolphins roster officially on Wednesday. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. His run defense grade is an 89, which was the 5th ranked linebacker last season. His pass rushing grade was an 80, which was the 6th ranked linebacker last season. And watching some of his highlights and film so far since we signed him, whenever the offense is going to be running the ball, David Long is going to be there. Whether he's the one making the tackle or not, he's going to be always within at least 5 feet from the ball. And if he's within 5 feet, he's probably on the ball already. It just seems like he does such a great job defending the blockers and getting to the ball no matter what. He's going to be a better form of Elandon Roberts, because we know that Elandon Roberts was a great run stopper. In coverage, though, he wasn't great at all. David Long is a speedy linebacker. He's small. He's kind of undersized. That's why he's such a great rusher. And I think that he's just going to be a better Elandon Roberts. He's better in coverage than Elandon Roberts is. But Vic Fangio is going to have his tandem with David Long and Jerome Baker. And the linebacker rotation, if it stands how it is, bringing up the next contract that we got, Duke Riley's coming back on a 2-year deal. But the starting linebackers, like I said before, probably going to be Jerome Baker and David Long Jr. And then the rotation is going to have Duke Riley, Channing Tindall, who's probably going to get a lot more snaps this season. And then, like I said before, probably going to be targeting a linebacker in the draft. So one of those draft picks will most likely be in the rotation as well. But I'd say it's a pretty successful day. Now, I'm recording this at 10:30, so there's still 2.5 hours of Monday, March 13th. The Dolphins can still go out and do their thing, but I wouldn't really expect anything until tomorrow. It looks like things are kind of dying down for the night. In other news, there's been a lot of rumors about Dalvin Cook or even Derrick Henry potentially being traded. And in the middle of all those rumors, the Bills have cleared out $32 million in cap space, restructuring the contracts of Von Miller and Josh Allen. So, you know, with those two pieces going together, there's been a lot of conversations about the Bills potentially making a move. Dalvin Cook's brother plays for the Bills. He was drafted out of Georgia last year. Derrick Henry has been rumored with the Bills a couple of times now. And if Buffalo can land one of those guys, it would move all the focus from Miami, who just got Jalen Ramsey, right back to the Bills to win the AFC East, getting one of these two crazy good running backs. And the Dolphins haven't even re-signed Mostert or Jeff Wilson yet, so we better get a move on with either re-signing one of those two guys or just trading for Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and say, screw it. And the last piece of news I'm going to talk about in this video is Jordan Poyer, the guy who's made it really clear that he wants to be a Miami Dolphin. I know it doesn't do much, but he liked on Twitter a picture of him in a Dolphins jersey. He also liked on Twitter a stat about Jalen Ramsey having to pay more than $2.2 million in taxes when he played for the Rams in California, now having to pay $0 playing for the Dolphins in Florida. And he said himself that he wants to play for a team with warm weather and 0 state taxes. So I don't know how much more obvious you can be with that. Another piece of news with Jordan Poyer is that the Raiders and Dolphins were considered the finalists for him, at least reportedly. And the Raiders a couple hours ago signed Marcus Epps, a safety from the Eagles, and gave him a decent amount of money. So if you take the Raiders out of the finalists for him, that only leaves one team there, and that is the Miami Dolphins. So that's kind of one of the players that I've been looking out for the most. Could you imagine a secondary of Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Kader Kohu, Javon Holland, and Jordan Poyer? On offense, you have to worry about that no-fly zone. And on defense, you have to worry about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We'll see what happens in day 2. I'm hoping that is better than day 1, although I did like I said before, I did like a couple of the moves that we made today. Either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.